welcome to season 2. Okay, so what I want to talk about is the way that I want to handle season 2, right? So, as you know, I'm often sharing my thoughts and my questions with you guys on social media, and I love all the responses that you give me. Like, I love spending my days with you over social media, right? Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was, like, who knows, right? I still may be like one fucking day like, hey guys, welcome to episode 6427. Let me tell you about that first date. That could still happen, but I also want to talk a little bit more. We'll still share my first dates, of course, in this season, but I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that I have learned in the interest of helping everybody else, right? So my mission's the same, right? I still want to make you guys laugh. I still think I'm funny as shit. I still want to be here available if veterans need anything specifically, right? I'll still share, veteran-owned businesses because I fucking love veterans, but I also want to share some advice and some suggestions and things that I have learned, right? So a great friend of mine, great fucking photojournalist, mentioned a name that I fell in love with, and it is so fucking awesome. And it is literally the second season wrapped perfectly in a fucking nutshell bow. Totally love it. So this season, this is the first episode of 106%, just the tips. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is red flags. So I have often joked that my spirit animal is like a fucking bull because I like charge right into red flags, right? If the guy's cute, sexy, funny, witty, charming, whatever, I don't fucking see a red flag, right? It's really funny to me too, because if I go back and think about my ex who I was with for 12 years, my girlfriends did not like him. And it's really funny to me because if I go back and really think about it and I remember what they have said and I've asked them what their initial thoughts were, holy fuck. I mean, I have no regrets, but holy fuck, if I had listened to my friends who of course see your life and see the people you're interested in with a different lens, right? If I had listened to them, my relationship may have been different, or I may not have just been in the relationship, or I may have just handled the relationship differently. The point is, be fucking better than me, right? Like I tell all my fucking soldiers, like, learn from me, be better for me. Okay, so I ignored all those flags. There's a few flags within the guys I have dated up until this point. It's a calendar year. There's been 59 of them. I can't believe 59. Anyway, but it's a calendar year, right? So it's not that bad. Anyway, what's funny to me is if I go back and think about them, right? And I think about the flags that I saw, some of them I couldn't let go, right? Like there was the guy who like spends all his money with his ex. Like that bothered me. I couldn't let that go, right? Not necessarily a flag, but it was a signpost up ahead that I could not unsee, right? So red flags to me are very much like signposts, right? So, we all know I'm a 70s kid, love Twilight Zone, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, all that, right? But every time I think of a red flag, I think of a signpost, and then I think of signpost up ahead, right? Like fucking Twilight Zone. The reason for this is I think we all look at people and our relationships and our friendships with different lenses, right? So there's always a signpost up ahead. There's always a red flag. It's just a question of, do you want to ignore it like me, like a fucking bull, and just be like, fuck it, the guy's cute? Or do you want to stop and think about, is it worth it to me to not move forward? Is it worth it to me to be possibly catfished? I would say no. Is it worth it to me to be scammed? I would say no. So I just want to talk about red flags, right? And what they mean to me. And I want to give you some of the ones that bother me the fucking most that I have picked up on, right? Like I said, be better than me. Okay, learn from me. All right, so red flag, signpost up ahead. The biggest one to me is communication, right? If somebody communicates vaguely, inconsistently, moves too fast with their communication, to me, it's a red flag, and I'll explain why. So for me, most of the men that I have gone out with in this past calendar year, the 59, most of them I have met on an online dating app, right? Tinder's my favorite, whatever. What I like to do is I like to get a real phone number. And I know I've mentioned this before, but if you're chatting with somebody online, right, most of the apps have like a little connection where you can connect to Noonlight, which I like, for safety if you meet them in person, right? You just hit a button. The other thing that I like about the communication on most of the dating apps is you can go straight to a video chat without exchanging your actual phone number. So if you're not comfortable with that, at least fucking do a video chat because you could at least see if that is literally the same person that you think you're talking to, right? Because dating apps give you photos, some let you, post like short videos, whatever. So for safety, when I meet somebody that I think is cute, I like to at least do a video call. I like to at least get their actual phone number and then move to like my actual phone in communication versus a dating app. The reason for that for me is I have an iPhone, which I fucking love. I think green bubble people are weird, but whatever. It's a whole nother topic. But if I get somebody's actual phone number, specifically their area code, I have a good idea if that's really who they think they are, right? If I have a video call with somebody, well, shit, I know that that's them. But the thing with communication and online dating apps and red flags is if somebody doesn't want to give you their actual phone number, that's a fucking red flag to me, because we're about to be in 2022. It's like nothing to block a phone number, right? So if you give somebody a real phone number, you think they're weird, you don't like them, you think they're a psychopath, whatever, cannibal, whatever, fucking block them, right? So for me, communication, right? So once you started communicating with somebody, like I said, I like video calls. So once you've had video call, once you've gone out with them, whatever, getting ready for your first date, getting ready for your second date, I like to really step back and just look at their communication style, right? So some people are busier than others throughout the day, right? Like we've talked about it before. My job, some days I have a lot of time to sit and text and be on social media. Other days, I don't have any at all. Even with my Apple Watch, some days it's hard for me to just respond with the fucking Apple Watch on my wrist, right? So I understand that. And I feel like once you're going to start like a committed relationship with somebody, you're going to work out those ins and outs, right? You're going to figure out your communication timing and style on your own together. Like that's something that's going to just happen naturally. But as far as red flags, if you're unsure with communication, this is what I want you to learn with this episode of 106%, just the tips. Okay. If they move too fast, that's a huge red flag to me. If all of a sudden the guy's like, hey, baby, sweetie, cutie, gorgeous, whatever. Holy fuck, that's a red flag to me. To me, that's like the mass good morning text. To me, it's the same thing, right? I know I've mentioned it before. If you think about like an old style fucking like stove, right? There's usually 4 burners, right? So the burners in the front get the most attention. The burners in the back don't. I feel like most people are talking to more than one person, and that's totally fine. That's like that's like the fucking thing of dating, right? So, and I mentioned this on my social media, and all of you called me like an asshole, but it's fine. So for the most part, you juggle people, right? People move onto the burners, right? Around the burners, right? The ones in the back get the least amount of attention. The ones in the front get the most. If somebody in the front does something that pisses you off in some way, they move to the back, or at least for me, they move to the back, right? Somebody's new, they go to the back. They do something awesome, they move to the front. The reason I say this is because I think when you are thinking about dating somebody online or in person, however you meet them, communication can be a red flag. Moving too fast to me is a red flag. Vagueness is a real huge fucking red flag. If you ask them a question and they are super vague and they can't give you a straight answer, and you ask the question again, and it's the same thing, that's a flag, right? Inconsistency is a fucking flag. I have gone out with people who have given me like undivided attention, within the first few days, few weeks, whatever, and then the communication dies off. So that can be natural because, everybody puts their best foot forward, right? Like I get that. But if all of a sudden somebody's like all up on your phone, blowing up your phone, and then they're not, and then they are, and then they're not, and then they are, that inconsistency is a fucking red flag, right? So definitely something to stop and think about, right? So for me, I have kind of like a rule with communication, right? Whether it's text, phone call, social media app, whatever. If I send out a text or a meme or a question to somebody and it takes them, I don't know, somewhere in the window of 3 to 5 hours to answer a question, that's a fucking problem to me because we all have phones. We all have, well, not all, but all the cool people have Apple Watches. But my point is, it generally doesn't take that long to respond to somebody, right? Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, but I'm also a huge fan with communication in the sense of it doesn't take me long to hit a like right on my text message or heart, whatever. And then that way that person feels important, right? If that person feels unimportant and you ignore them for 3 to 5 hours and you don't have a valid reason, I feel like that's a flag. Like that's a no-go for me. Like I went out with this guy once, really liked him. We had a few dates. I lived in Connecticut, so it was a little bit of a struggle to see him. He was busy as shit. Great guy, really attractive. But the problem with him is he was so busy with work. It was always like inconsistent, right? I don't think that necessarily he specifically was meaning hard by it, but it bothered me because I had expectations somewhat, right? And he was seldom able to fill them. Anyway, he's like really cute and whatever. But the inconsistency bothered me. There was another guy actually in Connecticut that I chatted with briefly, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, there's nothing wrong with or there's nothing quite like responding back to you within 24 hours, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, not funny." So if you're listening, not still not funny. Anyway, so inconsistency is a problem, right? There's exceptions to the rule, but I feel like if somebody's really into you, they care about you, they're going to make time for you, right? So, one of my favorite stories that I like to share when I'm talking to other people about inconsistency in communication is me in Iraq. I was standing in the fucking KDL, right? I was relatively safe. I was with the Italian army, traveled with them quite a bit. There was a guardian angel or two on me, but I was still in an unsafe area, right? So, KDL, fucking like Kurdish Defense Live, was still, questionable about my safety. Anyway, so I was there with my camera getting ready. But within that moment, I had my phone, right? Pulled out my phone and I texted my ex, and I said something like, "Hey, I'm probably not going to be able to get in touch with you for a few hours. Just wanted you to know I was fucking thinking about you. I love you. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon," whatever, right? And that's me on the KDL feeling like I'm going to die at any second, right? Or at the very least, shit my pants, right? Anyway. But my point is, even in that situation, for me, it was nothing to send a text, right? Much later, hours later, I explained where I was and he was like, "Holy shit," or whatever. But that was the communication style that he and I had established, right? But if you're dating somebody new, they're all over the place, inconsistency, it's a flag. If you don't know how you rate in somebody's life, like if you ask them a question and they're very vague or they change their plans often, that inconsistency as well is a fucking big red flag, right? So remember, the too much to me is a big red flag as well, right? If all of a sudden you're blowing up my phone like every hour, that's too much, right? If you're saying hello with a question mark, one of my biggest fucking pet peeves, that's too much. If you're calling me like every term of endearment in the book, if it's like, "Hi, sweetie, baby, gorgeous, beautiful, whatever," I wonder if you know my name. So that bothers me. That to me is kind of like just like a generic good morning text, right? If you have sincerity within your good morning text, it's totally different. But I feel like if you're copying and paste over and over, and I'm just one of the ones you're copying and pasting, that's a flag. I don't like it, right? 56 actually is really great with you saying good morning, but also asking me how I slept. And I don't know, I think that's so fucking sweet. I think a big part about the good morning test that I just like too is the insincerity, right? So 56 though seems very sincere. He's like, "How did you sleep?" Like I love that. I think that's so fucking awesome. And then of course I ask him how he slept, whatever. But communication too much, too fast, right, is also leads me to another point of that, which is if you're talking to someone, right, and they're kind of like, "Oh my God, I miss you. I can't wait to see you. I've been thinking about you all day." If you haven't met, that is a problem. That is a fucking red flag. If you haven't even seen me in real life, right, how do you miss me? I'm a stranger. How could you miss me? That's a fucking red flag. That's like too much too soon. Now, I'm not saying with all these red flags that people are going to like catfish you or try to scam you in some way, though I'm sure those people are out there. I do think, though, the inconsistency, the vagueness, the moving too fast, all of that are flags. So I just want you guys to be aware of all those flags, right? So, my girlfriends, years ago before my ex and I became a couple, I introduced them all, and my girlfriends did not like my ex, and I chose to like ignore all of it. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is, like I tell all my soldiers, be better than me, learn from me, fucking learn from me, right? If I had listened to them, if I had looked at my ex with the same lens that they were, then our relationship either would have been different. It wouldn't have happened. It just would have been worth it if I had stopped and paused and listened to what they were saying, right? Because the things that they were saying, sorry, ended up being true, right? Took me 12 years to realize, holy shit, she was right. So like I said, signpost up ahead, red flags, be better than me. Listen to your friends and family, because when they meet this person that you're interested in, they're going to be looking at them from a different lens. Their red flag is going to be different than mine, right? I like to joke because I think it's true. Like my spirit animal animal as like a fucking bull because I'm like charging into the red flags, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, that guy's cute. And boom, there I go, right? So, which is not a bad thing either if you go into the red flag situation with open eyes, right? So, as I said before, communication to me can show some red flags, right? No response is a response, right? If they are taking a frickin' forever to get back to you, like you don't have to have the 3 to 5, gauge rule that I do with the text or whatever. But inconsistency is a big deal because remember, people who care, who are interested, make time for you, right? Moving too fast, all the pet names bothers me. Like I want to know that you know my name. And just something to consider. This is specifically for women, right? We have this like really cool fucking thing about us. We have like gut instinct, right? We have this sense that if something is not right, follow your fucking sense, follow your gut, right? Save yourself some time, save yourself some anguish, like listen to your gut, listen to your friends and family. They're looking at this person in a different lens than you are, right? The thing that I love about women as well is like, for the most part, we're like nurturers. Like, we want to help everybody. Like we want to hug everybody. We want to make everybody's life better. But please, women, please, girls, please, please, please. You cannot turn a red flag into a green flag. You just cannot. Oh my God, you cannot. You can make it less red, perhaps, but it's never going to be green because women, I love you so much, but we cannot change men. We cannot change other women. People are inherently who they are gonna be, right? People are who they are, right? They can like alter somewhat, but for the most part, men are fucking the way they are. Like, please do not meet somebody, see all the flags and be like, you know what, girl, I can fucking change him, because I promise you, you cannot. So life is short. We only have one life, right? If you're like me and you see the fucking, flags and you're charging through and you're living your best life, then that's okay. If you are feeling hurt because all these things are happening to you and you're not looking at the flags, that's somewhat your fault, right? So I'm here to help you. Like, my mission has not changed, right? I'm here for entertainment. I'm here for veterans to know that I'm here if you need anything. Like, I don't want any veteran on this planet to ever feel alone. That's why I'm here, right? I want to make you laugh. I'll still talk about my first dates. This episode was really just kind of like the beginning of the second season, right? Because let's face it, fuck, man, I have been on 59 fucking first dates in a calendar year, right? I am anxiously awaiting the return of 55, right? He's been out of the country for his job. I don't know what'll happen. I have like all these expectations because I'm a female and I know I shouldn't, but I do fucking anyway, right? But there's also the thing that I'm also aware of, because I've been on fucking 59 first dates in a calendar year. I could still be here in the future being like, hey guys, let me tell you about first date 6,427. And that's okay, right? Because that's like literally what life is all about. So if you guys have any questions about anything, if you have any, questions or concerns or critiques about my red flags or this new spinoff, which is, I have to fucking say it again because I fucking love it. This season is all about just the tips, right? So let me know what you guys think. Remember, I am here for you. And bye.